just a broad topic of what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
And kind of branch off into a few of these.
You can't read it from that side, but it says the Best of Investing Radio Show. All right, so we are live right now.
All right.
And we're also recording. Can you do that at the same time, live and recording? I guess so.
It's got to get recorded somehow.
That's it exactly, because we're going to be on the TV. You guys remember watching the Apollo landing?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh my God, you're just a child. I remember the old black and white TV, and I kept going, Mom, Dad, this is getting boring. When are they going to land? I think I remember at 9 years old and going, what the hell? All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, and away we go. Well, welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money and Rob Spinoza of Guaranteed Rate Mortgage. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. That certificate's not sponsored by the radio station, but by $10 Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. It's a nice prize. It's worth over $100. Today's trivia theme is various trivia.
Ooh, various.
Various.
That'll narrow it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all based on
As
the word
opposed to general
various.
trivia.
Yeah,
I'm an expert in that field.
That's right. Okay. Mark, what do you got for us?
Well, we got a lot of articles and topics we're going to talk about today. And a lot of the articles kind of stem around the fact that there's a lot of change going on in the real estate market. And it's funny, we may bring up the word blockchain in the show. And when we do, we don't mean Bitcoin. And we'll get a little bit into that. Blockchain is not Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is not blockchain. They're related, but they're not the same, and they have nothing to do with each other in what we're going to speak about. They have something to do with each other because Bitcoin is based on a blockchain technology, but there's a lot of real estate services that are being developed now that are based on blockchain technology, all with the goal to save you, the consumer, time, money, speed, efficiency, all of those things that they hope
to promote security.
Well, and to promote security, absolutely. The first article I have here is titled "Amazon and Realogy Gang Up on Zillow to Entice Homebuyers." And the background of this article is that there's a lot of consolidation going on in the real estate sales network. So, for example, Rob, did you know that company called Realogy is the owner of a company called NRT, which owns, among others, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Corcoran, I've never heard of that, ERA,
I bet you that's Barbara.
and Sotheby's International.
Wow, so that covers a huge swath of even our
It
local
does,
market.
yeah. And there's a local company, or not a local, actually, they're based in New York, Compass, which I don't, you didn't hear about them, 3 or 4 years ago, and they've been on a buying spree, buying up smaller boutique, Pacific Union, Alon Pinnell,
Paragon,
yes, a whole bunch of them, and so there's just a big shakeup. So there's a lot of movement going around. So, but the good news is that if you like your real estate agent, and many of us have real estate agents we like to work with, it's just a different business card basically at the end of the day. But what the other thing that's happening is they're all bringing in new services, and Compass has got this thing they call Compass Concierge, which we might talk about if we've got time today. But this article, Amazon and Realogy. So Realogy is partnering up with Amazon, and essentially what Amazon wants to do is sell you a whole bunch of stuff after you buy your home. So this alignment with Realogy and Amazon, they're talking about creating programs like a move-in benefit and maybe savings on up to $5,000 off of Amazon products when you buy your next home. So these are all things that are geared to create and stir competitive advantages in a market space that many believe we're going to be entering into a period where things are going to start to slow down a little bit, maybe in home sales.
Well, I think what's interesting about that too is you have now some of these, I wouldn't call them mom and pops because that would not be a proper characterization, but you have some of these more traditional brokerages lining up with these higher technology companies and big conglomerates. And there's a reason for it, because that's the next shoe to drop, is when everything starts getting integrated. Because when you think about what a real estate transaction can do as a sort of leading transaction in a broader scope of services, then tying all that stuff together and having a platform, what do we use? It's like an interface to all of those other services. I can't see how it's not going to go in that direction, at least not here in California in the Bay Area.
You know, and with Amazon kind of getting into everything,
Right.
You know, and you want to order Bluetooth speakers, boom, next day, I want them to deliver a house to me.
Exactly. I mean, so if you know that house just sold and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and it was last renovated in 1975 and whatever, can you imagine the potential to sell to the new owner? I mean, and if you're a service provider, let's say you do air conditioning or a roof or something like that, wouldn't you love to have the data to know, hey, that's a high probability lead? So I think, and I don't know if that's where you were going with it, Mark, with talking about blockchain, but when you start taking all of this stuff and you start integrating it all and giving these real estate brokerages access to all of that data, it's a game changer.
Okay, so Amazon's not going to deliver a house to me. I still have to go buy the house.
Well, I don't know. Have
and
you
do
seen
it.
some of these?
By drone. You're going to get your house delivered by drone. It's drop it on your head. You're like the Wicked Witch in the West.
Yeah, the funny
Acme Homes.
Yeah, that's right. Now, on the serious note, though, with all this blockchain stuff, it's kind of based on, everyone being honest about reporting stuff, isn't it, for the most part?
Well, I think my understanding of the blockchain is that it takes the honesty factor out of it because of the authorization mechanism. So when you have a blockchain transaction, it can't not be verified by all of the other parties that would access that. What do they call it? I don't know if they call it blockchain.
But can you imagine what that would be if you had 100 people involved in some kind of a fraud? I mean, I guess it's possible. Okay, guys, we're going to cut to our first commercial break here. Various trivia. The character Michael Myers is associated with a slasher horror film. What was the name of the film? All right, call 888-912-1190 to answer this question. And we're going to, for the first 3 callers who correctly answer, we're going to give that tanning certificate out. The character Michael Myers is associated with which slasher horror film? That's what they call slasher horror film. All right, 888-912-1190. Don't miss that dial. We're going to be right back. All right, that's our first segment. Is that a fairly new type of drink that they came up with?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not that adventurous with menus, and somehow I ended up with one of those. It's pretty good.
I'll finish up on this article.
Yeah, that's cool. We talk more about the shift in the market too.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
And what I want to do is tie in how the shift in the market is also being sort of glossed over by lower interest rates and how there's activity, but it's not necessarily organic purchase activity, and kind of how it all relates. Because that's what I'm seeing. I mean, activity level's high, but how much of it is real purchase relative to last year? It's tough to know.
Yeah. All right, this time I'll push the start.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is I forgot to tell you. This one's 8:40.
8:40.
Yeah. I'm still sore from that golf. I only played 9 holes.
Oh wow.
I gripped it too hard.
Sometimes on a really brutal workout, I'll still be sore a week later. So it's not that unusual. It's old age.
Thank you. I didn't need to hear that, but it's true.
Although I did 6 pull-ups last night.
Did you?
That's good.
Oh, there you go.
Going from 4 to 5 to 6.
My little
3 sets.
my almost soon to be 7-year-old did 3 chin-ups yesterday.
Nice.
On a chin-up bar.
Wow.
He struggled with the second one, and then he pulled the third one out. It was amazing to watch.
That's pretty good
Yeah,
for
it's
that
great.
age.
You know, in the gym they've got, of course, depending on how far the harder to do, the farther. So these are the easiest ones, and those are, and they have different. You go
6 is good
diagonally.
though. 6 is real work.
6 full, real pull-ups, not cheap pull-ups. Where
No,
you kind of get up there and you go like this.
No,
you got to go all the way down and all the way back up.
And then if you
don't
and
cheat
the
on
more weight
personal
you
training.
lose, it's amazing. It's almost exponential how
Yeah,
much easier
weight's a big factor.
Yeah, I'm not lugging up a big spare tire.
I remember, gosh, when I weighed like nothing, and I used to work out at the gym. I used to tie a 45-pound
Yeah.
weight on because I just didn't weigh enough to make it
Yeah.
worthwhile. Actually, I did that for dips, not for pull-ups. That's right.
People do it for pull-ups though. I've seen guys do it for pull-ups.
You ever seen guys doing 1-arm pull-ups?
Yeah.
Jeez.
When
I
climbing
want to see a
rods.
guy doing 1 arm without holding on.
It can happen. I've seen guys do it. Yeah,
That's
it's
tough.
crazy. Climbers do it. Some of the
Oh,
really
yeah.
talented
Yeah.
climbers.
Okay, where we continue on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Here, 1, 2, 3, go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Rob Spinoza. First trivia question was, the character Michael Myers is associated with which slasher horror film?
Friday the 13th.
Halloween.
Halloween.
Ah!
Yeah, you're thinking of Freddy Krueger, right?
No, Freddy Krueger's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
I thought it might be.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so I don't watch the slasher horror films. Okay.
I did like
I get
Jamie Lee
you scared.
Curtis, though. That's kind of why I was.
So we were talking about technology and changes in the marketplace in the first segment. I just want to kind of finish up a little bit. I brought in an article about a company called Realgy, who owns a lot of real estate brokerages here in the Bay Area, and how they've aligned themselves with Amazon. And essentially, they're going to launch this program called Turnkey. And essentially, potential buyers will be able to go through their Amazon account, which of course all of us have, click on Turnkey, put in details about the size, price, and location of the home they want to buy, and then they'll be matched with one of Realgy's agents. Zillow works a lot like that.
Yeah.
So obviously they're looking to compete with Zillow here. In return, customers get up to $5,000 of Amazon products and assistance called a move-in benefit. So anyway, these are all cool things. And again, anything that makes
great.
it less expensive
Yeah.
and or easier to buy a home is good news for everybody, for all of us.
Well,
And,
I would object to that. I think real estate agents have to be a little careful with this, because what this is going to do, what I see these companies doing, is they're probably going to sell these leads to the agents, but the commission is going to be reduced on them.
well, I agree. And in fact, I'm talking to a good friend of mine who's a realtor. I was just talking to him this week, and I said, where do you see commissions trending? And he said, well, it hasn't really happened yet, but right now it's in the Bay Area, it's gone from 6 to 5.
Right.
It's been 5 for a while now, and he sees a lot of pressure on it going to 4.
Yeah.
He thinks
Absolutely,
that's the next step.
especially with higher priced houses,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
the dollar amount's a lot higher.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened in the securities business where people selling limited partnerships were making 8% commission and 6%, and
And I know it's hard to feel sorry for real estate agents when they sell multi-million-dollar homes and pocket, commissions in the tens of thousands of dollars. But this friend of mine was telling me about, a deal he worked on for 8 months, and this is a person-to-person business. And at the end of the day, this person decided not to sell their home.
Right.
And after 8 months of so there's and that's just one example. And this happens. I mean, this happens a lot. Real estate agents, the good ones, work really, really hard.
Yep.
They only get
Yep.
paid. This is a success-based industry. You only get paid when it closes, when and if it closes.
Right.
And the success percentage of how many deals you work on versus how many close is surprisingly low, which is why you really, you shouldn't look in the back pocket of what the top agents are earning here in the Bay Area, because for the most part, most of them earn it and then some.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is I had an interesting insight into this because I was back at our corporate office in Chicago, and I was talking with other loan officers from across the country, and I was asking them, have the Redfins of the world infiltrated your market? And one of the gentlemen who's in the Midwest spoke up and he said, no, because there's nowhere for them to go here. I mean, if you're selling a house for $150K, your realtor commission, how are they going to cut into that? It's not, at a certain point, that market is that market. Their 6% or even 7% is based on the reality of selling those homes, and Redfin coming in as a discount brokerage to try and save that amount of money just doesn't work in that market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's shocking to us because we have the higher price points, but that you have to understand that model is somewhat based on that premise.
It's a real, I don't know. It's a false way of thinking, I think, that a lot of people have when they go, well, if I can get $2 million for my house, why should I pay, a $100,000 commission on the sale, 5%? I mean, that's absurd, they think. Well, first of all, rarely does an agent make the full 5%. They're getting 2.5%, so they're making $50,000. Well, that's not a bad day's work, right? Because a lot of people make that in a year.
Right.
But the fact is, it's not a day's work. It's many, 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 many days' work, and evenings and weekends, never knowing if it's ever going to actually close.
Plus, they have expenses that
many of them
they pay.
don't. Right.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is real estate agents eat their own kill. That's how they survive. They're 1099 independent contractors, paid on commission. If they don't close a sale in a month, You know how much money they make that month?
Yeah.
Zero,
And
less than
actually
zero.
Yeah, less
It's
than
negative,
zero because it
right?
costs some
Right,
money.
because their gas and their advertising
And the bills don't stop that month. Yeah.
And here's the other thing: is a lot of people, they talk about the FSBOs, right? The for sale by owner.
We don't see it that
And
much here. Yeah.
the thing is, a potential buyer generally is going to say, "Oh, it's a for sale by owner. Well, I'm going to reduce the price by
Right,
what you would pay the
Absolutely
commission."
right. There's no free lunch. I'm sorry. People think there is, but there's not. And at Pacific Private Money, I have 6 independent loan officers, and my top agents make several $100,000 a year. And every now and again, one of the salaried employees might make a comment about that. And I'll say, look, if you want to go out there and eat your own kill, and your guaranteed paycheck evaporates, as well as your
When can we start,
your
right?
health insurance and all that stuff, right? And good luck. Each one of those guys made almost nothing in their first year because they had to create their book of business.
And so I always harken back to something our pediatrician told us when people become new parents. He said, "You don't know what you don't know."
Yeah.
And when you're talking about
I love that phrase.
when you're talking about listing a home or going in and going it alone and buying a house, a really good real estate agent, again, especially as the market itself gets more complex, can really be a game changer on that. We see this time and again here in Marin. Some of the best agents, the service they provide to their clients. I mean, yes, you can quantify it because you know what they're earning on it, but man, it exceeds that because they wouldn't be getting that house were it not for that agent in a lot of cases.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we still got another minute before you got to go to commercial break, but I do want to make a shout out to Hans in the 650 who called our office this week, who listened to us on the Best of Investing. In fact, he called. I overheard Andrea pick up the phone, and he asked, "Is this Pacific Coast?" And I told her, "Hey, if they ever say Pacific anything, always say yes."
So what happened?
Nom took the message. He's going to call him back.
Okay.
We don't know yet. This is a fresh call. So Hans, if you're listening today, welcome to the Best of Investing.
Welcome
and
back.
hopefully we can do some business. So.
That's right. All right. I want to make a couple of mentions here. The Mount View Hotel and Spa in Calistoga is celebrating 100 years of making memories. They actually have a midweek special that includes 2 Cocoa massages and 1 night in a suite for only $479.
Do they rub chocolate on you?
I guess so. Maybe I'm thinking of coconut is what I'm thinking. Coconut oil, but the way you have to find out.
You gotta go.
You have to call
You do
them.
a couples massage, and then you let the chocolate off.
There we go.
Yeah. This is the show for that. Okay, so that's a midweek special that includes 2 of the massages and 1 night in a suite for only $479 plus tax. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Check them out, mountviewhotel.com.
I've stayed there. It's excellent.
It is a really very nice place. Their pool, I love their pool.
Yeah.
Also, I want to make a quick mention here for Mountain Mike's Pizza. The way it ought to be. Famous pepperoni large pizza has over, get this, 100 pieces of pepperoni on it.
I thought you were going to say over 6,000 calories.
No, actually, they're very good.
Close.
So call them at
7.
415-454-4300. That's Mountain Mike's Pizza in San Rafael. They have excellent pizza. I've had it before, even though I'm a big pizza guy, but it's excellent. All right, second trivia question is, who played the role of an eccentric inventor in the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Now, I knew this answer, even though I never saw the movie, believe it or not. Okay, that's our trivia question. Call 888-912-1190. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back.
Shitty. I can see his face.
I have no
His
idea.
name.
That one. Oh, shoot.
You know that one?
I never saw that.
I don't know that one, no.
I saw
I
it.
know the song.
The original, not the remake, right?
Yeah. I should have prefaced that. You're right.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know that I'm going to get it in time.
That's all right. We'll wait 6 hours for you. Business going well for you, Rob?
Yeah, things are busy. Working hard though. I mean, no easy deals.
And it's interesting. It's like people who leave like Merrill Lynch to go to Morgan Stanley or whatever. People are following the broker. They don't really care which company they're with.
Yeah, I mean, the move has proved to just be a huge net positive. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's like pricing is so great and the product depth is so great.
For you guys, I could see that in that business,
Man.
that's important.
We saved the deal today where it was. Yeah, no, I mean nobody else would have been able to do this deal, and we were like
Nice.
3% under what they were getting quoted somewhere else.
Oh,
Sorry.
So
3%.
yeah, it's like
That is nice.
I'm just kind of like I'm back at a point now where I was when I left RPM. Like I can feel like I have full steam back, so it's really
good.
fun again. It's like, yeah, I'm confident getting in front of everybody I've talked to, past clients and whatever. It's like, okay, I know exactly how to get things done.
Good.
It's cool. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like some of these banks, those like the smaller banks. I don't know how they do it. If you're a loan officer with them, you're gonna be living on macaroni and cheese. They're just not competitive.
A lot of the small independent or the mid-sized independents they're a quarter to 3/8 out in price on us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, I'm toe to toe with First Republic and Wells.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I can, and so if you don't fit Wells guidelines or whatever, I can save the deal, and I'm, either I'm right there or I'm an eighth off.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels really good.
What about the fees?
We've never had high fees. We've never had high fees.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, like, most of our clients are banking with someone.
Yeah.
So, that was the thing I see with competition out there, and the mid-sized guys, they get killed in price. I mean, you got to just hope your client doesn't shop.
You just got to hope your clients do this. Why don't you lead off with whatever your best article that
Okay,
you
cool.
want to talk
Well, we
about.
got some stat stuff, which is kind of fun. So,
I think I remember the name, so we'll see if I got it. Two
Oh,
for
really?
two.
Okay. Let's see here. The last one here is.
Oh, what's the next?
Is 810.
10.
All right. Ready?
Ready.
Yep.
Let's do it. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt and Rob Spinoza. Second trivia question was, who played the role of an eccentric inventor in the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
I racked my brain during the commercial break. Was it Dick Van Dyke?
Yes!
Wow,
Well
that's
done.
good.
And the next one I think you'll get too.
All
right.
Ooh, we could set a record.
We
About 3 for 3 and have to
That's
celebrate.
happened before.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you got for us?
well, cool. So, I think there's certainly a lot of talk out on the street. We're getting a lot of calls. Hey, I heard rates went down. No secret about that. And certainly in the news on the political front, what's going to happen with the Fed and the pressure on the Fed to lower rates even. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk a little bit about where states where homeowners have the most mortgage debt. So anybody want to take a guess at number one?
Yeah.
California, where the-
That's right. California, number one, average mortgage debt, $347,652.
I wish I had a 300.
Yeah, right. We're all envious. Median home value of $509,400. Median household income $71,800.
Where's it?
Okay.
What's up?
Where's it? Fresno or something?
Well, I mean, so it's across
I
the
know.
state, right?
Whole
So,
state,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
I bet the Bay Area, 9 Bay Area counties would be different numbers.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
3 times all that. No, all that
Pretty
stuff.
much 3 times in the Bay Area. I would think you're closer to the mark on that. But it runs the gamut here. Hawaii's number 2, Massachusetts number 4, New Jersey
Why is
number 6.
number 2? I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, Hawaii has big loan amounts, but one of the things this points out. So average mortgage debt $347,000. So that's a conforming loan for
Yeah.
the listening viewers out there. Generally, things under 480K considered a conforming loan. So, if you're out there and you finance your home and your rate is over 4%, that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing a lot of calls about, can I refinance? Can I go lower on that? What does it do to my payment? And I think, I don't know I'd be interested to get your take on it, guys, but I think we're in a low rate environment, at least with the balance.
Well, let me get into the email question because
Yeah,
it kind of
sure.
leads right into it. It says rates have been coming down.
There you go. Yeah.
But I'm not sure how much lower. Are you suggesting locking in a rate now?
Yeah, I do suggest locking in. I'll tell you why. Because if things get better, you can always take action. The saying that I like to use is the old pilot saying, right? So it's better, it's better to be on the ground wishing you were in the air than in the air wishing you were on the ground. and so the analogy with rates is, look, if you refinance now and you don't get all the marbles because rates continue to go lower in the future, nothing's stopping you from taking action again down the road.
Because there's no prepayment
Right.
penalty on a home
If
loan.
circumstances warrant and the math warrants. So what you do is you look at does it make sense financially for me to do it now? The answer is yes. You want to look at it carefully because we've all seen in our financial lifetime, we've all seen a credit crisis. We've all seen rates higher. So, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If an opportunity like this comes along and we've got one now, grab it while you can. Because the other thing that we're seeing, and I point this out in California, and I think a lot of people are sensing a shift with this, but We also have an opportunity right now where values are stable and not declining, because when values start to decline, it doesn't matter how good rates are, borrowers are in a world of hurt when that happens, because they don't know if their appraisal is going to come in low. It's going to support the value of their mortgage.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of variables lined up right now that make locking a really favorable and prudent choice if you're in a situation where you can save some money.
Now, if somebody locks in a rate with you, Rob, are they, and let's say rates go down another quarter point, making it definitely worthwhile to maybe, can they call you and say, hey, is it possible to readjust the rate?
Yep, it's called a renegotiation. And so what happens with those is if the market changes substantially while you're in process, no lender wants to see its pipeline of locked loans run off, meaning, hey, I'm getting called by whoever and they're telling me they can now go, like you said, a quarter lower.
Yeah.
So the lender's typically going to want to renegotiate that. But let's say that the spread is 0.25%, you may end up getting 1/8 of it. You might not get all the marbles, but you'll get some of it, and it'll make the situation a little
So it's
better.
an argument for locking now, for not being afraid to lock, as opposed to
Right.
saying, well, if the Fed cuts the rates, maybe mortgage rates will go down. And that
drill too, though.
that drill that you have to remember, short-term and
Right.
long-term rates do not correlate, or they rarely correlate. I shouldn't say they don't correlate, but they rarely do.
You also have to take into consideration that the financial markets build in a lot of what they believe is going to happen. So,
Yeah.
it's like that old financial saying, right? The market climbs a wall of worry, right? So they think, okay, if the Fed's going to lower rates, all of our positions will be affected by that. So how do we adjust to get ahead of that? And that's what you see with our industry. So, the talk right now, the belief that rates are going to go down are going to drive a lot of the market activity on the bond market. And that'll cause rates sometimes to retrace if the Fed actually does what they think or less. So again, control what you can control. Better to be on the ground than in the air. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and I used some jargon earlier, so I should probably explain. When I say short-term and long-term
Good,
rates,
yeah.
so the Fed impacts short-term rates. They can impact the prime rate.
Right.
They can impact, and when they lower the federal funds rate, the prime rate goes down. Credit card rates and other variable rates that are based on short-term rates, they are affected. They go down. So that's in a positive move. The long-term rates are what mortgage rates are based off of, and most mortgage rates are based off of the 10-year bond, which goes up and down based on the mood of the market
Right,
and
exactly.
other extraneous, economic
Interplay with the stock market.
and international data
Yeah.
that comes in on a daily basis. So it's quite possible that that the Fed could lower rates and mortgage rates could go up. It's very possible for that to happen. And it's funny because right now I have a friend who's refinancing, and he was telling me he got locked in a rate at 3.25.
Wow, that's great.
Wow.
Which is an amazing rate right now. And so for those of you at 4%, ish rates, you probably ought to call your mortgage broker.
And Rob, how do people get a hold of you?
I'm available at 415-367-5959. You can find me online if you do a search for Marin Mortgage. But I'm with Guaranteed Rate, and our website is www.rate.com. And I work out of the San Anselmo office.
And you keep using all these. You keep saying all these old phrases. I've never heard of some of these old phrases.
What old phrase is that?
Oh, being up in the air, being on the
sorry.
ground. Oh, there's an old phrase, and then you go,
I've never
I'm
heard
older than you, and I haven't heard that one. But it does totally make sense. A quick mention here for Sonoma Canopy Tours. Now, Rob, you're kind of an exciting type of adventurous guy.
My wife would disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like zip lining?
I've never done it before, but
Really?
it looks cool. Yeah,
Okay.
it looks cool.
So zip lining through beautiful California coastal redwoods with Sonoma Canopy Tours. If you like heights, you're gonna love it. If you don't like heights, not so much. But it's quite a thrilling experience. I haven't done it yet myself.
Get down fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is what you're in the air and you wish you were on the
That's
air.
right.
No, it's supposed to be very, very exciting. Check them out at Sonoma Canopy Tours.
Cool.
All right. And we're going to go to our next trivia question here. Which
Mark's
is,
on a roll.
Yes, you're going to get this one too. What is the name of the mansion where Elvis Presley died? All right. Call 888-912-1190. Be the first caller. We're going to actually do it for the first three callers with the correct answer. You win that tanning certificate. What is the name of the mansion where Elvis Presley died? Stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. We've got an email for Mark that I think the audience would want to hear. So stay with us.
I want to miss.
Not gonna win, is this?
That's I thought you were going into what you talk about Graceland, or there's all those places, like those are great trivia questions. Where did people die, like Belushi? And was it in Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills.
And he was
Wonderland,
with
but I don't know the
Robin
name of it.
Williams.
What's that?
Robin Williams was with him.
Oh,
at the
really?
time.
I didn't know that. And then
Oh,
Lennon,
just shooting them up here.
Yeah.
probably, yeah. Lennon was at the what was the name of that hotel? Right in the doorway of that hotel in New York, in Manhattan.
Well, you want to hear something crazy? The guy who killed him, right? Mark Chapman. So they wanted to, there was going to be a movie made about John Lennon, the whole thing, right? And this guy who looked like him and sounded like him and everything, and he got the part.
Chapman or Lennon?
Well, the guy who was going to play Lennon.
Okay.
Right? They find out the guy's real name is Mark Chapman. And they said,
How do we deal with this?
Yeah, how do we
No
deal
way.
with this? We can't have you. So he lost the part because his name just happened to be the same name as the killer.
Amazing.
What was I gonna say? Oh, it's talk about age and time and years. Lennon died when he was like what, fucking 40 years old.
Who was?
Yeah.
Lennon, wasn't he? He was like 40.
So he was.
He was young. I remember.
That makes
seeing-
sense, yeah,
Yeah.
because he died in 1980, and so 40, and then the
Yeah,
Beatles
he's
come
probably
out,
born
he
in-
was about 24.
yeah.
So yeah, wow, that's Looney Tune stuff. Okay, that was our 840. Okay, we got an 848 segment. So Mark will go to your
848.
email and then get into Pacific Private Money.
I think Rob's got some more articles.
I got a few more articles,
Yeah.
but yeah, we can roll.
What do you got for
848 time.
technology?
What's it?
No, we're not tech, but changing market.
Changing market stuff is here, so that's kind of cool. And we just talked about rates, and then there's that one. It's kind of a bear.
I think we're supposed to ship in bad ways for buyers. Oh, okay, so they're saying, and this is nationwide. Yeah. Housing supply gains shrinking. Okay, it's nationwide. I wonder how that. I'm always weary of nationwide.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather.
Bidding wars are down, but will trend continue?
Yeah, we don't have too many people in Iowa listening.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, bidding war sounds good. I can talk a bit about that.
All right. Well, Mark, I'm going to go on to you first.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Edward Brown here, along with Mark Hanf and Rob Spinoza. Their trivia question was, what is the name of the mansion where Elvis Presley died?
We both knew that one. Graceland.
That
Yeah,
is
great.
correct. 3 for 3.
Nice job.
Booyah.
You're going to buy a lottery ticket.
All right, Mark. Email question comes in. It says, I might need a bridge loan from you, because I was with somebody who's listened to his show and understands about bridge loans. Mark will explain in a minute. But I want to make sure that I'm pre-qualified with your company. Can you do that for me? And will you charge me a fee?
Oh, okay. So bridge loans are not for buying bridges. Bridge loan, the term bridge loan in mortgage lending is actually used in two contexts. One is just to mean a short-term loan,
Right.
like in commercial alternative finance or commercial hard money. The term bridge loan always means I just need a bridge loan. To mean a short-term loan. I need $1 million bucks for 6 months while I do this thing, and here's my exit. In residential real estate, bridge loan can also mean short-term, and we do short-term loans at Pacific Private Money. That's our specialty. But it also means bridging between one home and another. Meaning, if you're in a home and you have lots of equity and you need to move or want to move for whatever reason, and you would rather buy your next home first and move right into that new home, but the bank tells you, well, you don't make enough money for 2 mortgages to have 2 mortgages simultaneously.
Or you can't free the down payment.
Or you can't free up the down payment because you may have nearly enough money in the bank, but the lender wants you to have reserves, and
Yep.
there's all kinds of reasons why it's hard to move in California these days without somehow freeing up the equity or selling your existing home first. And that's fraught with problems, because if you sell your home first to create that, to free up that equity, where are you going to move?
Yeah.
You
You're
gotta
going to
move
move
twice.
You're going to move
Yeah.
into an apartment, put your stuff in storage. I mean, it's just a pain. The rental market's terrible in the Bay Area. So we have at Pacific Private Money this product we call the transitional bridge loan, and it is the only type of loan, because banks won't do this, and neither will these non-QM lenders, non-qualified mortgages that you might be hearing about, which is kind of almost like a conventional mortgage, but a little bit more expensive and a little bit easier to get. But those lenders, they will not cross over two pieces of property. They will not use both your existing home and the home you want to move into to collateralize a single loan. And we do that every day at Pacific Private Money. We make one loan. In fact, people tend to use us regularly for 100% financing on the target property, crossed back on their existing home, where they have sufficient equity so we can solve for. We do a little math, and as long as we come up with a combined loan to value, which is based on the equity in both homes of 70% or less, we can oftentimes do that, and that's a pretty popular product. And so the question is, here's someone that wants information about a bridge loan and is hesitant to call because they don't want to be sold something and, well, I'm going to need your credit card because I'm going to pull your credit, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No. At Pacific Private Money, in fact, most legitimate California licensed mortgage loan originators are never going to ask for an upfront fee because the Department of Real Estate frowns on that big time. Oh my gosh, ever since Dodd-Frank, they have really penalized the heck out of lenders who do that, yet some still do and get away with it because, well, I guess because they can get away with it. But at Pacific Private Money, we will never charge you an upfront fee for anything. We don't even charge you to pull credit. Now, it's not illegal for a mortgage broker to say, hey, you're going to have to send me a check for $40 because I'm going to pull your credit. And again, a lot of those guys, it's coming out of their pockets if you run the other direction. So they don't even, so I do understand that. But as we just consider that part of our overhead at Pacific Private Money, we don't charge anything. We'll take a look at your loan application. We'll do actually, several hours worth of work before, and let you know what we can do for you, and it won't cost you a dime. We don't make any money at Pacific Private Money until and unless we actually fund a loan for you that you've agreed to, all of the terms and conditions. So we disclose everything. California, for the most part, is very consumer friendly, and they just don't like upfront fees when it comes to mortgage lending. I'd like to be able to charge them from time to time.
Well, let me ask you this.
It bites when someone runs you through the ringer and then goes down the street and has the other guy, lets the other guy do the loan. But we take the long view, and in the long view that we get the business we deserve, and we're doing well at Pacific Private Money because we treat people well.
Is it true that for private money loans, a lot of times as well, you can go look at the property, do a walkthrough, and not actually need a full appraisal? Because I know on the residential side, we're going to get a full appraisal.
Yes, that's the other reason why bridge loans exist. Oftentimes people come to us and say, in fact, we had one just last week. One of our loan agents brought in a deal where they had a client that was conventionally approved, and they found something in the last minute that was going to put a 3-week delay in closing.
Happens all the time.
And the seller said, I'm canceling and keeping the deposit, and which is terrible, but it happens a lot. And so they needed to close, so we got the loan request on a Tuesday morning, and we had to close by Friday, meaning we had to sign loan docs on Wednesday, fund on Thursday, and go on record on Friday. And we did exactly that. Now, we don't like doing fire drills like that. We'd prefer to have a couple of weeks to do the loan. But in a pinch, we have saved people's bacon by being able to save and salvage a deal that's gone south. And there's dozens of reasons why people come to a company like ours. And yes, our money's more expensive, but you will never have an easier, friendlier, less brain damage process of borrowing money than you will going through a company like Pacific Private Money.
Well, here's another reason for that bridge loan is you have a situation where someone wants to sell their house, buy another, and what they did was they listed their house for sale,
Mhm.
and they went to the bank to get a loan on that house,
Departing
Departing
on the
residence.
departing
Yeah.
residence, and when
They went,
they said,
"Hey,
"Wait,
it's
wait,
listed.
It's
It's
listed.
listed.
Yeah."
No,
And
we're
the
not
bank
gonna-
said, "We're not going to waste all our time,
Yeah.
doing all that."
lending
So-
you money for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what we call in our business an EPO, an early payoff, and that means that when a loan gets paid off, generally within the first 6 months, we frown upon that. So if
No,
you're
'cause
out
you
there,
lose money.
yeah, they lose money because I mean, remember, if you close on July 15th, the first payment is until September 1st. So if you
Yeah.
pay that loan off right away, that lender may never have even seen a single payment.
Believe it or not, lenders are in business to make money.
Yeah, how
They don't
about
want to lose money. So short-term
I mean, they'll still
loans
earn
are
their
hard.
interest, but
Yeah, but
the payoff.
but a residential lender typically is not making upfront anything either on
Yeah.
that loan. So it's not a winning proposition for them, and they frown upon it in our industry. So it's good to know, because if you're a consumer and you need a solution like that, a private money lender is a better option.
How do people get a hold of you, Mark?
So PacificPrivateMoney.com, real easy. PacificPrivateMoney.com. All of our contact information is there. We have a very transparent website. It has all our pictures, our bios, our names, our email addresses. We don't give you some 800
PO
number and
box.
show you a PO box and show you a bunch of pictures of skyscrapers and say, hey, we're in business. No, we're very, very transparent. In fact, there's a lot of information. We even have Best of Investing radio show podcasts. We've got downloadables. We've got all kinds of goodies on our website. We've been developing it over the last 10 years and fine-tuning it, and we're always improving it too. So and if you just want our number to call us, we're in the 415. We're at 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150.
And stay with us when we come back. Before Rob gets into some articles, Mark is going to explain how people are investing with him, his company, and making over 7.5%. Stay with us. The Best of Investing will be right back. Okay. Right on the money. Boy, owns in money.
So yeah, grab one of those articles. We ran along on that one. So talk about whichever one you think would be the most fun.
We like fun. We're all about fun here.
That's right. We're all about fun.
I'm going to be at the office early tomorrow because I don't know if we're doing that webinar, but Keith wants to talk about the Sacramento thing and taking us out to lunch.
Is he coming up tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
I forgot to talk to Nolan about who's doing the webinar.
He said that's sort of right now, maybe, maybe not. I mean, I'll obviously help out on it, but
Okay.
he wasn't sure how many people were going to sign up.
Okay.
You guys, webinar you're hosting?
Yeah.
PBM?
Yeah. On bridge loans
Cool.
for realtors and mortgage brokers.
It's kind of weird. Andrea got back to me something about the event on Thursday. They had all these questions. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to be networking. I'm not speaking,
Yeah.
I'm not on stage.
What
or
are you going to
anything.
wear?
Yeah.
Color socks.
What color socks am I going to wear? Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it should be good. It was last year. Did you and I go last
Yeah.
year? Yeah. Yeah. I would go if I were here.
You're down south?
Yeah, I'm doing my quarterly thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to bring a bunch of cards. I'll just schmooze, network, and, I don't know how many borrower contacts, but hopefully we'll make some investors. Right? I'm just out
You
there.
never know.
Get
Yeah.
That's right. Get the word out. All right. Are we ready?
Hang tight 1 second.
Yeah. So our last segment is at 5:10.
Okay, cool.
We'll go Rob first, and then
Rob first?
I'll-
Okay.
last minute. I'll
You
do it quick.
transition it, yeah, when you need to.
Okay.
I'll just talk about some of this stuff.
Ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt and Rob Spinoza. Rob, what do you got for us?
So, one of the common questions we get is what is the minimum down payment it takes to buy a house? And obviously here in the Bay Area, prices are a little higher, so it skews a little bit. But
A little.
if I told you that nationwide that the average down payment size was right around 5%, would that surprise you?
Well, what is it?
Whoa.
FHA is 3%, right?
FHA will go to 3.5% down.
And in the no doc loans, it was negative 20%. You get a 120% loan, but
Yeah, so it's
5%, wow.
actually really interesting. So 5% down, you can even do on a jumbo program. We don't see it; it's not that common. but generally up to price points of about 800,000 here in the Bay Area, 5% down payment is still in play.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and the terms are still good. And one of the reasons for that is that on a conforming loan, the maximum conforming loan in the Bay Area is 726,525, 726,000.
Still a big loan.
Still a big loan. So
Yeah.
if you think about 5% down on that, it's putting the price point right around 800K.
Yeah.
And if you have good credit, those loans would have PMI on them, which has, for a long time been considered taboo. Like, never do PMI. What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
But PMI has gotten incredibly inexpensive
Oh.
if your FICO score is good.
Huh.
So I think the lesson here is that if you're out there and you're a home buyer and you're thinking about it, but you don't have a 20% down payment saved up, inquire, because you might be surprised at what your options really look like on this stuff. We see a lot of low down payment stuff, even in the jumbo space.
And what's interesting is that they have 5% down purchase money loans, as they call them.
Right.
But let's say you buy your home and a year later you're saying, well, I bought it for this. It certainly hasn't gone down in value, probably up, but let's just say it's the same value that I paid for it a year ago.
Mhm.
Can I do a 95%
Rate term.
rate and term or,
Yep.
or cash out?
Well, you can do cash out, but you can do a rate term, and rate term is a fancy way of saying just replacing the existing loan at
So
your
you
closing
can
costs.
refinance
you can.
at 95%. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes the gamble on that is that maybe it clicks under a tier and it goes to 90%.
Yeah.
So if you're in mortgage insurance at 95, you refi and you get a better rate, and your mortgage insurance tier drops down. Then you can start saving some real
So
money.
you
We're seeing
could
a lot
buy
of people
down.
doing
So
that.
you could buy down your loan a little bit.
You could do that
possibly,
too. That's a
to-
great
to
idea.
Save interest.
How much? You said rates are coming down on mortgage insurance. How much are they nowadays?
So, mortgage insurance on a big loan like that, if your credit is really good, might be as low as $130 a month. So you talk about getting a
Huh.
$720,000 loan and your PMI is $130 a month. It's a small component of your house
Yeah, I
payment.
had a PMI on a loan much
Used
smaller
to-
than that
Yeah.
2 years back, and oh my gosh, it was like $300 a
Yeah,
month.
well,
It was
yeah.
such a waste of money.
FHA mortgage insurance is very expensive. So yes, FHA will allow a lower FICO score. It'll allow a higher debt ratio, but man, you pay for it in your mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
Wow, that is kind of surprising.
So we're going to end the show talking a little bit about the Pacific Private Money Fund, because at Pacific Private Money, all our loans are funded through private capital that we either control through the Pacific Private Money Fund or capital from individual investors who like to invest in individual notes called trust deed investing. We work with both types of investors, and people regularly call our office, like Hans did, to inquire about how to invest with Pacific Private Money. And so the Pacific Private Money Fund, just real quick, while we got a little bit less than a minute here, is a mortgage pool fund that only makes loans on real estate, mostly in California. About 95% of the loans in the portfolio are California-based loans, and they're generally short-term. They're fix and flip loans, they're construction loans, and they're bridge loans to people who need a way to tap the equity in their home to buy their next house. And our average payoff in the fund is, less than a year. So it's short-term real estate debt at conservative values. Our weighted average loan to value in the portfolio is about 60%. And over the last year, our trailing 12-month distribution, as they call it, is about 7.6% right now. And that's pretty darn good for an investment that only has a 1-year lockup. After 1 year, you're free to take your money out, and you can always add to your investment if you want, which is pretty cool. For more information, go to pacificprivatemoney.com or call us at 415-883-2150.
All right, guys, thanks for joining me again. Thoughts for the day. My motto: think like a proton and stay positive. I like that. And if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you.
Yeah.
All right, tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. All right.
There's always enough speed and altitude to get you to the site of the crash. Right?
Well, I'm talking about helicopters, right? That as long as you can be out of gas and you can still at least, you'll crash, but you won't crash as fast, right? Isn't that the case?
I don't want to test it.
I don't want to test the helicopter.
No, because as you're coming down, the rotors will spin faster.
Oh,
So as
really?
you're coming down, yeah.
If you come straight down.
It comes straight down. Well, yeah, no, that's what I said. As long as you're not like upside down or something. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't go upside down. All right, so that was number
The
5.
thing about helicopters is that you have no time to think. When it's on, it's on. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're falling. It's
Hey.
like,
True.
Alexa, buy me a home.
Hey, do you do Venmo or PayPal? Because I forgot my.
Oh, yeah, I do PayPal. Sure.
You do PayPal?
Yeah.
All right. So
All right.
I'll just stop PayPal it over to
Yeah,
you.
that's a good idea. The have 7 more minutes on this thing here on the YouTube.
Oh, all
Has
right.
to be at least 56 minutes. So, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, educate
So
the
the,
audience.
so the actual show is over, but we can still talk about still talk business.
That's right, exactly.
No
you don't have to
dirty
be,
jokes.
you don't need headphones on.
They're not allowed.
In fact, anyway, we need to do, so I don't forget, is unplug this and this, because now it's kind of interesting how it worked, where it's feeding off of. Actually, I unplugged that, but I don't know. Somehow it's working off this thing.
The light's still on.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know how it's working.
So it's capturing audio and everything.
Yeah,
On the
it should
on the
be.
webcam.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there was something about putting it in through here. Maybe I shouldn't have unplugged that, but that's fine. So I got to do the old weed.
So you're still
transfer
seeing,
here.
I've heard from a couple of different private money lenders that market is a little bit different and appetite's a little less. Do you agree or no?
Yes.
And
Smaller shops are struggling
yes,
right now.
and that's what I've noticed. They're calling me, like, "Hey, you got anything?"
So here's what's happening in, private lending, aka alternative finance, aka hard money in California right now. Fix and flip lending has been completely commoditized. So LTVs are way high.
75,
Rates and
80.
fees are low. Yeah, 80.
Yeah.
It's an 80% of purchase and 100% of remodeling is not unusual.
Okay.
Repeat clients can get 90 and 100.
Isn't that
And there's
crazy?
even people running
At
around
low rates.
handing out cards at these conferences going, hey, we'll do 100%, 100, 100. It's like, now
You're
you're
giving the guy a
partner,
job.
right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And the fees are down as low as 8%, 1 point, 7.5%, 1 point. So and most private lenders, of which maybe there's 400 companies in business. Some of those companies might be one or two people,
Right.
one-man shops. The vast majority, if not 95% of them, only do business purpose, investment
Right,
purpose,
right,
fix and flip
right,
lending. So,
right.
so those guys are seeing the well dry up.
Because you already have a small pie to deal with.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the owner occupied, which we do, the barrier for entry is additional licensing, additional legal underwriting guidelines,
Yep.
software. You got to staff up. Everyone's got to learn how to
Got a
originate.
compliance zone.
And there's just this fear factor that, if you do owner occupied, we're, oh my gosh, if you make a mistake, you could get sued. Well, we've been doing owner occ for 6 years
So
now.
if you go
we don't
owner
make
occ,
mistakes.
you have to impound, right? Because now you start.
No, you don't.
You don't?
We on some loans, not on the bridge loans.
Not on
the
bridge,
owner
but
occ,
yeah, if you do it just on a single owner occ, you have to, because you
Yes.
have an HPML.
You're right. We have
Yeah.
impound account loans on our that we work with, and so
What's interesting about that is whenever we do non-QM, like you said, that tends to be the biggest sticking point, because a lot of those borrowers are cash flow, like, oh, fuck, darn, I've got to impound my taxes and insurance.
yeah.
I mean, they got to pay it.
But I mean, they're cash flow borrowers. They're looking at it
Yeah.
like every month, they'll deal with that pain in November.
Here's the other thing, and Edward, I don't know if you know this, but something very interesting has been happening just the last month. We've been approached now by 3 different people who we've known in the industry that have been very active,
They want you to buy them.
and they want to jump on board with us.
Well, I know one of the guys.
Yeah,
We
so-
talked about him. But
Right. So
Yeah.
so
That's going to happen, bound to happen.
So that I'm thrilled about that, because if there's going to be consolidation in private lending, I want Pacific
Yeah.
to be part of that
Yeah.
success in consolidation.
Yeah.
In fact, we when we
You
have
remember
executive little get-togethers, we're always talking about, do you know anybody that we might want to talk to that shows up at the events, seems like a guy of high integrity or a woman of high integrity, and but
Brings value to the business.
right.
Yeah.
But when you talk with them, you can kind of tell that things are not as rosy as they might have been a
So
year or two ago.
This is what's happening.
Right,
It's being
for-
glossed over in our industry right now by low rates. But this is if November 2018 had continued into this year,
yeah.
that would have exactly been where our industry was. All of those
Oh yeah,
mid-level and
rates went
smaller
up to
would have been
rates
they've been
spiked.
shaken out, and that's why being aligned with the larger right now feels so much better, because the resources that our CEO is throwing at all the things that we just got a tool that allows us to determine if you get a property inspection waiver on Fannie and Freddie
Mhm.
in advance of taking the application. So you give me an address and a scenario, and I can tell you that property will get a property inspection waiver. I went through my whole book of business.
Nice.
And not only that, here's the best part. I went through my book of business and I said, this guy he bought the house at 80% loan to value last year.
Yeah.
Because the loan level price adjustment on Fannie gives you better pricing 70. I go into the tool and I divide the loan amount by 70. And I put it in there. If it comes back and says he's got a waiver, I call him up and I say, your pricing is this. You don't need an appraisal. When do we start?
Yeah,
That's
that's a great.
Wow.
You know how many of those we've converted? I mean, it's just like, and you have no appraisal risk.
25% at least.
You have no appraisal risk.
Yeah.
As long as their credit checks out again and
Yeah.
and their profile hasn't changed, that's a done
Wow.
deal. You're closing in 3 weeks.
Wow.
See, that's the thing.
Save
is I wonder if there's
$350 a month.
competition, it's like how many.
The little guy could never do that. He'd never have the ability to tap into Fannie.
Like how many
Freddie.
loans are you doing
Yeah.
now?
Right.
Because
Right.
yeah, I mean you could, because you have that availability.
Well, the other thing too is even across our company, I was talking to someone else. I'm like, "Are you using that tool?" They didn't even know it existed.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's
You're leaving
crazy.
so much money on the table.
Well, one of the things we talked about years ago was, post Dodd-Frank, is the government going to relax regulations, and will banks be able to make the type of loans they were making 15 years ago? And will that mean that private money lenders will watch their opportunities dry up? And I don't see that happening.
I don't
at
really
all.
see that happening. There's a pretty clear distinction between private and non-QM in almost every case.
Yeah.
I know that non-QM is getting more